Okay, it looks like we are finally back, which is really cool. So, thank you so much for sticking around. I will be right back. Just wait right there, okay? Okay, I am back. Thank you so much for hanging out and sticking with me. I really appreciate it. What are you going to do, right? But thank you so much for staying with me, and I really appreciate it. Tim invented the Live Away show. That is true. The show about nothing. like like Seinfeld, right guys? So I'm just cleaning out my other airbrush. So you all didn't miss anything. We're going to put the medium mixture in there. Hey Clutch, how you doing? Let's see. So that's cool. So I'm glad you're able to catch a live stream here. And today's been interesting. Hey, Mr. Mark Webb, how you doing? Always great to see you, sir. So glad you're here, my friend. Very positive person in the airbrush world. I just think you're great, Mark. So thanks for hanging out. Let's see here. So Willie, I'm finishing up Villanelle, just making her perfect. Working on those gloves, so when I send her off to you, she's gonna be doing okay, you know. I look at it this way, if there's any kind of technical issues or anything like that, it's because I'm growing, you know. So I don't mind having technical issues, and I don't even see them as like a hindrance or a problem, you know. I see them as a sign of growth, so that's really good. So I'm going to take my medium mixture, right, and we're going to go ahead. So I accidentally deleted something, and that kind of caused a big issue. And it was kind of my own, but I know never to do that again, right, guys? Right? I know not to do that again. And so, hey, what's up there? Jorge, ¿cómo estás? Good to see you. Thank you so much for hanging out with me tonight, sir. I'm really excited about that. Those ink bottles, I believe, are 15 mil. Yes. Yes, sir. The same size as the inks. Oh, Jesus, anything. Timothy. So those are the two ones. So Tim or Timothy's fine. That would be great. So now we have the medium mixture. I'm just going to test it out. Okay, it's nice and a little bit darker. And now we can see that with the medium mixture, we can even go darker. So we can set up just like before, right? We set up with the light mixture, and then we come in with the dark mixture and just bring this together. Actually, this is the medium mixture. And let me bring my reference over. Just like so. And like everything else, the 1 second rule's in effect and all that good stuff. And you see I can get much richer and everything like that, which is really cool. And that's great. So I really highly recommend these inks. The reason, these mixtures, the reason why I did create them was that a lot of people want to work in sepia, but it's kind of daunting, you know, how much water do you mix, how much, you know, how thin does it have to be, all those different things. And I just wanted to make something that you can just have your light, medium, and dark, and just go to town and, you know, really just enjoy the process as opposed to, you know, having to deal with all that. So Nameless says the ongoing joke has always been technical issues are as fine as long as they come out of your time. You still owe your viewers a full no. I'll have to. We'll have to put that on the account for 2022. Okay, Nameless. That's cool. That's cool. I understand. Yes, I always like giving the 2 hours. That's for sure. You know me, Nameless. You know how I am. I always want to give value. You guys are the best, and you guys always deserve the full 2 hours. You really do. So, thank you for all your support, my friend. Oh yeah, Villanelle. Let me go ahead and change the picture here. That's an easy fix. So Jody, I'm just going to put you over here. So, and let's see if we can add Audrey without killing the live stream. Let's see. So we're going to go with image. Hold on to your hats, everybody. Let's see. There we go. There's Audrey. So far, so good. And we can put her right here. Not bad, right, guys? We made it. We made it through. So you see I can go and come in with the medium mixture very nicely. And I don't normally do this, you know, work so fast from the light mixture to the medium mixture. But this is just to show you all, you know. So Clutch says he loves to paint but has little art background and even less developed skill. You do Clutch, I am exactly what you're looking for. Because when you study with me, Clutch, it's like working, it's like going to art school. I'm classically trained, and so I will teach you the fundamentals from the very beginning that I learned at schools like the High School of Art and Design, the Art Students League, the National Academy School of Fine Arts. Studied with teachers such as Erwin Ginsberg, Max Ginsberg, Harvey Dinnerstein, Ron Scher. All these artists are very famous, and their technique and their teaching methods were avant-garde. You can't get an education like that now except through me, because now you can do it online, which is really amazing. So if you're interested, let me know, Clutch, and we'll talk more. There's no pressure sales here, but I know another reason why. Now this is cool. So another reason why my mentorship program. So what it entitles you is 1 month tuition, and that gives you 1 2-hour class working together on a painting side by side. And I have the highest technical online class, so it's live. We work together, and so that's 2 hours every week. We meet at a set time, a time that you decide. And not only that, once a week I have a group class where we go over all kinds of things having to do with art, such as selling your art, doing drawing, going over digital art. So it's 4 hours a week of training. And now that's cool. 4 hours a week of training. And it's for a month. So most months are 5 weeks. So you're getting 20 hours for $100. And why I know this works is because all my students have stuck with me. I have one student who's with me 2 years. Most of my other students are at least a year and a half. Now, one of the problems with this workshop or live stream, this workshop or these seminar kind of things, is that a lot of times when a student takes these classes, and these classes are great, I'm going to tell you, they're absolutely amazing. You know, there's so much to learn in these classes. But the thing is, it's the consistency where the growth lies. So with me for $100 a month, you actually are able to go ahead and have the ability to be consistent because you meet with me at that set time every week. And it's there, it's that consistency over a year. You know that one saying that we overestimate what we can do in a week, but underestimate what we can do in a year? And we go at your pace, and you can ask questions every week. You can ask them via email. You can do that. And I have students that are in Italy. I have students that are in the UK. I have students in all the time zones in the United States. And since I'm a full-time artist, I'm able to meet you where you are. So that is really important. So let's see here. So Jorge says, "Como de busco fuera de aquí?" So I am here in United States, but you know, as you know, estoy aprendiendo la lengua. Yo puedo hablar español. So si tengas preguntas en el español, yo puedo ayudarte. So those are like some added things that I feel that I could actually add with my mentorship program. I currently have 8 students, and I'm proud of them. And it's the work that they do on their own. It's the principles that they learn from me that are really the most important. So definitely think about this. And Omar says, here is beginner class, we only paint monochromatic. Yes, so you have to learn. Sí, estoy aprendiendo la lengua y por más o menos 10 años. Yes, so Mark, I have been learning Spanish for about 10 years. Actually a lot longer, but you know, I'm getting better and better. Tone, how you doing? Good to see you, sir. So here I am with the medium mixture. I'm just getting a little more, just getting a little more definition here. So definitely, so you definitely want to, if you want to learn from the beginning, and you want to learn the correct way, and you want to make sure that it's not crammed in 4 days, because it's great to have workshops as long as, see, those workshops are great as long as you are working with that. So when you leave that workshop, you have to hit that ground running and continue working. But with my mentorship program, so let's say Brad, for 2 years now, every Monday at 9:30, he has been taking my class, and his work is out of this world. You know, we came a long way together. Same thing with Colette. We've come a long way together. Me and Colette have been working together for a year now. And so to see them grow, but not only grow in Airbrush, that would be one thing, just show you Airbrush technique, but I show you how to use the digital art with it, and how important digital art is, how important anatomy is, how important drawing is. But I can't do that in a four-day workshop. I can do that over a period of time, you know? So Clutch says, yes, he's interested. He has developed fundamentals of using an airbrush, but because he doesn't paint the way that he wants to paint, he gets frustrated. Yeah, and that's the thing. So my job as a teacher is to make it fun for you. One of the things I really hate seeing is when an airbrush artist gets so frustrated and they go ahead and they sell their airbrush. And we've all seen that on those forums, and they sell the airbrush. And I'll ask them, and this is over the years, and I'm like, why are you selling your airbrush? You're like, oh, it's just not for me. You know, when you get an airbrush and you get it from, let's say, you get an airbrush, let's say from the manufacturer, chances are it's not really tuned in, right? And if it's not tuned in, it's everything is not all set correctly. The needle, the chucking nut, everything. There might be an air leak here. If all you might be airbrushing and not realize that it's not you, but it's the airbrush. And it could be a very nice airbrush, a very expensive airbrush, but there's a slight problem. So here is the student like yourself, they're airbrushing and really getting frustrated, but it's just a slight problem that I can even just bring you over, right? Bring you right over to where you need to be. And that's the great thing about my, how important it is. So Nameless says, Tim, your Spanish is good. You need to work. No, you know what? I don't need to work on my accent because Las Latinas, they love my American accent. And you know what? I get action because of my accent, my friend. So yes, I am not getting rid of my accent. That's Spanish women love when a white guy tries to speak Spanish. Trust me on that. If I know anything, trust me. And let's see. So Nameless, ¿dónde es usted? So si tienes dolor cuando un hombre blanco que quiere hablar y aprender y aprenda la lengua, that's painful for you? So is it less painful if someone doesn't even try to speak your language? So Brad says 40 degrees Celsius, wind chill. So Clutch says, still got my brush, just haven't dusted it off in a while. Colette, thanks for the agreement and Tim's teaching. I'm certainly giving it a thought. You give it a thought. There is no, there's no pressure. So, I consider it a really big responsibility when I, Tatinas, are you getting ready to get booted from my live stream there, sir? Just wondering if that's where you're heading there, Nameless. So Clutch says, American love foreign accents when they speak English. I can imagine it's different with Americans speaking other languages. So let's see here. So let's just continue with this. So let's just continue working here. And let's go ahead and see if we can work a little bit lower. Now I do have some aids here. Let's see. Let's see here. We're going to put this on so we can make some of these darks a little more, a little stronger. So let's see. Let's put this over here. There we go. Then we can put these magnets over it. Let's see. And these little magnets are amazing. They really are. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in with the medium mixture, the medium sepia mixture right here. And we're just going to work on here. But one of the things is you want to make sure that you go right up to the edge. Yeah, so what's interesting about that, Nameless? So what's interesting about the Mylar? Oh no, Mark says that. Mark is saying the Mylar. But I used Mylar when I was working in Jody Comer. So you see now I can kind of bring in a little more accent now because I'm working in the medium mixture of the sepias. You want to make sure you don't get too wet, right? Let's see. Anyway, let's talk about something else, shall we? So anyway, so these mixtures are something that I worked on for a very long time with you guys in mind. See, when you try something new, you're always going to have people make fun of you or anything like that. But I ask those same people who are making fun of people who are trying something new, whether it's trying Airbrush, whether it's trying a new language, you're always going to have people who are going to sort of push back. And, you know, whatever reason they're pushing back is really not to be taken personally, but it really has to do with whatever issues they have. So don't let anyone ever discourage you. So I've been learning Spanish for a long time, and I can do pretty good. I helped out a lot of people. You know, let's say if I'm at a store, I can help them out where they're buying a type of diapers or anything, and the salesperson doesn't understand them. So I do that so I can actually help them, you know? So that's really important. Thank you, Mark. I appreciate that. So, you know, you're always going to have people who are going to push back or try and make you feel bad for, you know, expanding your circles, you know? But I'm proud of my Spanish, you know? It's not easy. And so that's something. But when that does happen, I can see how someone's confidence can get kind of shaken a little bit. Because, you know, it's so easy to, you know, criticize somebody when they're doing something or make a mistake. But it's so much more important and so much harder to go ahead and, you know, encourage them and say, hey, that's really good. Or, you know, I think that's something that you should do and you can help people. I remember so many different times where, you know, there was so many times where I made friends, which I wouldn't have a friend because I spoke Spanish. So to me, it's worth it. And I've always had times when people would say, I remember one time I was working at a camera store in Orlando, and I was helping him, and I was, you know, struggling with a word, and he says to his friend, he's like, "Él no sabe nada." Well, I knew enough to know what he was saying. And you know what? There was two ways I could have gone with this. I could have been discouraged, which I was discouraged, but the thing is, it caused me to work a lot harder. And you know what? And I says, I'm not going to allow somebody who is going to encourage me, discourage me, to change the motive or the reason why I'm learning. So, you know, that goes out to all of you. I know a lot of you out there are learning airbrush, and it's hard. I know it's so difficult. But the thing is that, you know, I'm here to encourage you. And no matter what level you're at, and that's one of the reasons, you know, I like being an airbrush teacher, is that I can take somebody from the point of just getting discouraged, like where they just want to just go ahead and, like Clutch, he hasn't touched his airbrush in a while. And, but I can make it so much fun for him. I could encourage him, and I could, you know, show that he can do it, that his talent is there. We just have to like polish it off. And because remember, the airbrush is just a tool. It's not a talent, you know. But with my classes, I work on your talent and work on controlling the airbrush at the same time. Those are the two things that I feel is really crucial. So, you know, that's one of the reasons why I became a teacher, because, you know, it's very, very important to get that person when they're about to sell their airbrush and say, hey, wait a minute, you just haven't had the, you know, the right encouragement. You just haven't, we just haven't been working on it long enough. So let's not try cramming everything in 3 days. Let's go ahead and work with me once a week. And if we could work together once a week and show you techniques, and then after that 1-2 hour class during the week, you can do your own stuff, start your own paintings. So very, very exciting. And so Clutch says, where do I contact you about the mentoring program? Well, you can always email me, and here's my email address, and I can answer any questions that you have, and very in-depth, okay? So, and I can give you a lot of information. Like I said, if it's right for you, it's perfect, right? And that's the thing. If it's right for you, it's perfect. If my class is not right for you, then, you know, I can direct you to maybe if you want to do a, you know, if you're interested. Some people like doing the workshops. You know, Drew Blair has a great workshop. I know Steve Leahy is going to be doing a workshop at Airbrush Circus. That might be the route you need to go. And if I see that's the route you need to go, I would tell you, because more than just, you know, getting a sale or getting another student, your growth as an artist is the most important to me. And so that's very, very important. So definitely. So once again, I just want to say, yes, Paul, all you do need is a laptop. That's it. You have a laptop and we're fine. And that's really great. So someone said, oh, okay, so I'll just move the microphone a little closer. How's that, my friend? So that's good? Yeah, I don't want to inundate you guys with too loud a voice. So that's, so yes, so definitely paintingglyphs@gmail.com. That's the, and all you do need is the class. Now, right now the classes are still small, so you're going to have a class size of 1 to 2 people. Chances are you're going to have a one-on-one with me, and then as we grow you might have 2 or 3 with you. But it's a lot of fun, and that's what I think. I just think it's a lot of fun. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's see if we could come in and maybe get these darks here a little bit darker. Now you have to probably lower the air pressure a little bit because you're going to get a little bit of paint collecting on the edge there. So when you see paint collecting on the actual, you just dab it, right, with a rag. That's sufficient. And then now we can lift this up and see what we have, right? Let's take a look. Come over here. Let's see. And so let's see how it looks. Okay, great. So a little bit more defined, which is good. And then we're just going to continue along this line here, line of thinking. So let's see. So let's see if we can work on this side plane over here. So with the light mixture, it's just very, very light. But that's what you're doing. You're just going ahead and you're just lightly indicating. There we go. So you see we want to get that turning of her form. But if we do it light first, and then while we're doing it with the very light mixture, then we could add the texture, and then later we can come in with the medium mixture to really get the correct values. So in the beginning, you're not really looking for value. You're looking for texture and even relative value. All right, so let's continue. And let me go to this screen here. Okay, great. So when you are painting, you want to follow the grain of the skin. And you've heard that if you were watching my live streams for a long time. You'll know I talk about the grain of the skin a lot. And with the light mixture, it's very subtle, so you want to build that up slowly. And you might feel like you're not getting the value you want, but just let it dry and go over it, and you're going to slowly build up that value. But you want to make sure that you're patient with that. There we go. Have a great night, Willie. Thank you so much for coming by, my friend. And I wish you a very happy new year. That's for sure. And I think Todd said a question. I still want to take your class, but at this time I don't have time to do it. Oh, no problem. When you're ready there, Todd, it would be my pleasure. So you just let me know. I know time is always not always in abundance, right? So I know you have a regular job, right? Is that correct, if I'm not mistaken, sir? As you can see, I'm just slowly building up these values. Oh, great. I'm going to get right back to you after the live stream tonight, sir. Thanks for your interest. Like I said, I only want you to take my class if it's right for you. And so that's the thing. So know that I'm not going to like grab a sale and say, okay, I got another student. That's not how I work. So, you know, we'll look together and see what's best for you, right? And that's the important thing. What's best for Clutch, not what's best for Tim, right? So that's important. So let's see. So let's come in with the really nice medium mixture. And let's work on her hair a little bit. Why not, right? And you see with the medium mixture, it has a little more of a punch to it. It still has that beautiful sepia quality, but it has a nice darker value. And all this is very erasable. Very, very erasable. Oh, thank you, Jesus. I appreciate that. Yeah, I think a good teacher... No, I think a great teacher, and I aspire to be a great teacher. A great teacher has always the student in mind, right? You know, what's best for you, right? What's going to really take your work to that next level. And also, not every student's the same. Not everybody wants to go ahead and be, you know, an airbrush artist 24/7. They might just love it. And that's good too, you know. That's something that, you know, I would definitely, you know, gear my classes for someone like that as well. Oh, look at that. Almost fell asleep. Sorry about that. Try not to make you fall asleep, my friend. I can't always help that. So as you can see how the mixtures are working, right? You can see how they're sort of doing everything they're supposed to, which is great. And remember, when you're painting hair, you want to paint the helmet first, and then you want to work on the detail. So paint the helmet first, and then we'll paint the other parts. So there's the Airbrush Circus, and I heard good things about it, and so that's something great. I know there's a great bunch of guys and girls that are teaching there, which is really amazing. And if you like learning under that type of environment, then I think that's great too. So Blue says, Tim, do the pencil marks blend in with the sepia, or do you erase? Yeah, the pencil marks don't blend in, which is good, and we just erase it. So you see how I just worked on the hair? Great question, Blue. I can just take my kneaded eraser, and I can just see how easily that erases, as if it was never there. And that's really good. Oh. Definitely nameless. So that's true. So you see, but you see how beautiful it does erase. So it's great because now you don't have to worry about the eraser marks. You don't have to worry about, it being... So with this sepia mixture, it's not being trapped underneath the surface, which is really great, And yeah, so they don't blend, which is really fantastic. One of the things you can do, if you're worried about blending, you can always just take your kneaded eraser and you can lighten them up so there's less graphite. That's fine too. Those are decisions you want to make, right? And those are valid whatever direction you want to go. So yeah, it's very very seamless, and you don't see any of that, which I think is really advantageous. So I'm going to work a little bit on her nostril here. So right now I'm in the light mixture, so let's move back into the medium mixture here. So when I'm doing sepia, I want to do the 2 airbrush method, where I can move from the light mixture to the medium mixture really quickly. See that? And so that's really going to help me along the way, which is really good. Because there are times if I don't have the 2 airbrush method, let's say I'm using the light mixture and I see something darker, I'll be tempted to just continue going over with the light mixture. You'll get to the same spot, but it's not as efficient as switching to the medium mixture. Same thing, so let's say if I want to do a really tight detail and it's very light, right? If I have the 2 airbrush method, then I can come up to the eye and make sure that I'm using the proper mixture, as opposed to try and compensate because I don't want to change my airbrush, clean it out and everything. But the 2 airbrush method is really, really much better, much more efficient. And like anything else, it just keeps you in the game, right? It just keeps you definitely in the game and keeps your mind where it needs to be. We all try and cut corners. It's just human nature. But the 2 airbrush method will keep you from doing that. And anything that's going to keep us on our toes, so to speak, is always a good thing when it comes to doing something like airbrushing. And Omar says, Tim, once you made a video of a walk in your neighborhood to a lake, that was nice. I think you could do something like that and talk about... Oh, thank you, Omar. And I enjoyed that one. That's right by my house. Yes. Yeah, that was 2018, right? Time flies. And it was right around this time of year. I think it was in late October. See how I can come in here and do that real subtle area right there, which is really good. Let's see. And we'll come over here. So, you know, so teaching is a lot of fun, and it's not for everybody, but I really enjoy it. So that's why it's so cool. I really enjoy teaching, and I love my students. I mean, I really look forward to the classes I have with you all. I really do. And that's something you can't fake, you know? I can't say it and not mean it. You can't fake it. So, you know, when I speak to Roy on Tuesdays or Colette on Wednesdays and John on Tuesday nights and Brad on Monday nights, and then we have John over in the UK on Saturday. On Thursday I have Juan Carlos in the UK. Sometimes I have my Italian students, so it's really cool, you know, it really is. So Jesus says, Tim, would the kneaded eraser work better to erase pencil lines? Great question, because, you know, doing so many hours of work with this, you really kind of get a feel for a lot of the subtleties. So let's say it's a large area. I wouldn't use a kneaded eraser. Although the kneaded eraser doesn't really rip the paper, it kind of messes up large areas of the India ink. It will change the texture and change the value and make it erratic. So when you're doing a large area, don't use a kneaded eraser. If you are going to do a large area, I would use something like a gum eraser, something like this, but make sure that it's nice and dry. So with this in a large area, this is much better because it is erasing, but it isn't just attacking the layer of the ink or the paint or whatever you're using. So when I do that, it's fine. But if I did the same thing with the kneaded eraser and went over it, it actually changes the texture, so it's very ugly. Where the kneaded eraser shines and where you want to use it is, let's say you have a very small area and you just want to tap it, and that's where it really works, because this is the most unaggressive eraser out there, right? So you can just very lightly just tap it, and that's where the kneaded eraser shines. Now let's say you want to go ahead and really pull out a light. That's where your aggressive eraser will shine, right? So your aggressive eraser, you could really just concentrate on a little spot and you can pull that out. So the right eraser for the right job. There's a couple of more erasers. If you haven't purchased them, I really highly recommend it. So here is the Knock, Knock eraser by Tombow. This is a nice non-aggressive eraser for small areas, and you can go ahead and erase small areas and have very little effect on your paper. But it's not going to erase very detailed. If you wanted to erase something very detailed but not have much effect on your paper, then you probably would want to use something like the Tombow Mono Zero. This is a really great eraser. Highly recommend it. It's like erasing with a pencil, but more so than other erasers. And with this, I could really get very, very concise and precision, I would say, which is really great. So you have the aggressive eraser. That's for when you really want to erase someplace and really get to it, and that's perfect. And then you have you know, this if when you want to erase large areas, but you don't want to screw with the texture of the paint or the ink. And then if you want to just pull up some graphite in a specific area, like next to an eye or right over here, you can just tap it and it'll just pull up the graphite ever so subtly. And then once again, just to recap, if you want to get a certain area but you don't want to be too aggressive with it, this is perfect. If you still don't want to be too aggressive and you want to get the smallest area, then the mono 0. So I really hope that that helps. You know, if you have any questions, you let me know, okay? So that would be great. Which paper do I use? So that's a great question. The paper that I do use is Colorline paper by Canson, and you have to make sure it's the 184-pound version, and I do sell it on my website if you can't find it, so that's pretty cool. And let's see what else. Anybody I missed here? Let's see. Okay. Now, Clutch said, I would say it's more of an uneventful manner of as well. So I'm not sure what that question was, but if it's towards me, if you could just reiterate that, that would be great. And Jesus says, seen another YouTuber goes by Carly. She cuts the gummy eraser with a blade to get a sharp, clean side to erase. Oh, cool. Oh, great. So I'm really glad that it helps, Jesus. That's good. And, you know, when you go to an art store or when you're ordering from Blick or whatever, pick up some erasers. Every time you go, find a weird eraser and pick it up because you might need it. A Pink Pearl. These are great erasers. They all have their advantage, right? So Pink Pearl, you can go ahead and get a large area as well without damaging the paper. So it's nice and soft. Also, when you're there, pick up stumps. Get different kind of stumps and tortillas. Get them every time you go to the art store. That's really going to help out a lot. So definitely think of that. So, you know, those are things that you should have a lot of them in your repertoire. And so just pick them up as you're working, you know. Pick them up as you're just buying stuff. And just keep a good inventory of them and experiment with them. Or ask somebody who has a lot of experience, like, you know, Steve Leahy or myself. Steve's always very good answering questions. So definitely. Okay, so as you see, I use this eraser to clean up an area here. And now I'm just going to come in with this light mixture. And you'll see when you first put it, since you're working on a light paper, what happens is it looks dark, but then when it dries, it gets more of that really nice sepia tone. There we go. Okay, so let's see what other questions we have. And Clutch says, is there any episode prior to this showing your template outline and application of the light color? I would like to look myself. I would like to go look myself. But so this one I didn't do a video on. I'm going to do this painting from start to finish. But this was just an introductory to my live stream. That's basically what this is about. So usually I go from the very beginning. This is just an introductory into the Sepia Mixtures. But definitely, so next week I'm going to start working from beginning to end. So you'll see that. So great question. And I always take care of you guys. So this is my medium mixture. I'm going to come in with my light mixture. And I'm just going to work on these little grooves in her lip here, but the trick is to make sure that those values are very, very close. That's very important. We want to make sure those values are very close, otherwise it won't work. So when you're doing any kind of contours on the inside, such as cheeks or wrinkles or stuff like that, how you do that is make sure that the values are very close to the surrounding values. Otherwise, you'll just look like a line. There we go, and we'll just work on that over here. So if you want a lighter value, you just increase your distance, right? If you want a darker value, you just close in and decrease your distance. There we go. So you see how I'm just working on that, which is really cool. And let's see. So Jesus says, Tim, also acid-free paper, they say so, it won't turn blue. But it seems every single one that turns yellow has had problems with paper. Well, this is definitely acid-free, and this will last forever. I have stuff that I have like 15 years with this paper, and it just works great. It doesn't turn, it's light fast, so it's really good. Nameless says, if you're using acid-free paper, it shouldn't turn blue or yellow. Maybe it's the oil from the skin. Good point, Nameless. That could be it. Mike says, if you mean a technique, check the other series for the very first steps. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's true, Mike. So if you want to see like the very first steps, it's always good to, as Mike said, look at the part ones. That's really good. So definitely. Yeah, so you always want to buy quality art supplies, and you never want to buy student grade. I don't care if you're a student, don't buy student grade, because student grade just means garbage. And I think there should never be a student grade. Why are we giving the seasoned artists another advantage by having the students work in garbage, right? So work on the best art supply that you can afford at any time. So if someone is just starting, they need the better art supply. They need the better airbrush. They need the better paper and the better supplies, because they need all the help they can get. But could you imagine getting a $15 airbrush and going to somebody and say, hey, I want you to learn airbrushing. I think that would be great. Let's see how that goes, right? So I think that's funny when that happens. Definitely. And so, you know, that's something that we definitely, how do you say, it's something that we definitely want to use the best art supplies that we can afford. Now, if you ever can afford an art supply or something like that, you can always message me, whether you're my student or not. I don't care. And there are less expensive alternatives that are still good quality, and I can help you whether it's an airbrush or what have you. That's important. So definitely, if you get advice from me, I think that would really be helpful for everybody. So definitely. So my airbrush, if you purchase my airbrush, it's $149. But let's say you go to me and you say, hey Tim, I can only afford $50. Well, I definitely can direct you to an airbrush that's $50. That would still be good, right? And so that's why it's good to get advice. So if, let's say, you can only afford $50, I would say go ahead. Or let's say if you want to buy my airbrush and you can't do it, you can do it in 3 installments of $50 and get the airbrush. So it's always important to get the best airbrush you can afford. But if you can't afford it, there's always alternatives. But definitely get that information from somebody who really is in the biz, you know? That's so important. And let's see, we got some good questions here. Jesus and Mike and Mark says, what about Drew's paper? Have you painted with it? No, I haven't. Drew's paper is definitely geared for his technique, you know, which is amazing. Drew Blair is definitely the most talented airbrush artist out there. Without a doubt. He is the best. And so I always say, you know what? He's the one who knows most about airbrushing. So he devised the paper to work perfectly with his technique. So I don't recommend it using other techniques with it, especially mine. So why I use the Canson paper, I mean the color line paper by Canson, because it's smooth, yet it still absorbs, right? And the fact that it absorbs really is great. I mean, but I think something like what Drew uses for his technique, I think the ink would kind of sit on the surface. So, so I think that helps. So definitely, if you're using Drew's technique, his paper is absolutely perfect. Yes, so definitely. So Jesus, first payment of the 3 payments of $49, $50, and that will get you my airbrush. So, you know, that's cool. And so if you're interested, you can definitely email me, Jesus, you know. And Patty, have a great night. Happy New Year. Thank you so much for supporting me in 2021. It's so cool. So what brush I would use if I was going to get a brush for $50? And only because I had a student who used it, I would say the Neo by Iwata. You know, without a doubt. That's probably your best deal. As far as getting an airbrush that's going to do everything you want it to, the Neo for $50. But it's not going to be the $150 airbrush that I have. But for the $50, think about it. You're going to have an airbrush, or you're going to get detail, and you're going to be able to, you know, have really good centered nozzle. It's going to come out of the box working for you. But the thing is, so here's the thing. Now my student had it, but it was very, very delicate. So I know he dropped the nozzle, it broke, and I know the needle bent really easy. And so he eventually had to buy parts for it. So, but when he really got, you know, more advanced, he wanted something to give him a lot more detail and just a little more control and precision. Then he went into my airbrush. But the $50 really worked good for the Neo, right? Well, the Neo is probably around $50 to $60. You can probably find it around $60, which isn't too bad, Mark. And so let's see. So let's see what Clutch was saying. So you have a Patriot, good enough to learn portraits on. Tip is not extremely fine, no. I think it's a 0.5. Yeah, as Mike said, you want to get a 0.3, and that's your detail one. Or you can, so, you know, definitely, you can definitely work with the Patriot. Is it going to be as precise as my custom Xtreme Patriot arrow? No. But if you only have the means to, I can definitely help you. So let's say you don't have much funds and you have that. I can definitely help you to get that thing really working well. You know, maybe we can probably change the head assembly So that's one thing I would do. I would change the head assembly. That's not to get rid of this and change it to this. And then we would put a different needle that's not factory. And so I can tell you how to put a needle in there. And then you want to get yourself a Mac valve. So let's say if you only have $50, I can get that Patriot working for you. I can get that Patriot working really well for you. So that's something that we definitely can do that until you can afford the upgrade, right? Well, yeah, of course. You know, when you're getting the $50 airbrush mark, you're going to have extra frustration, and I agree. But so Air Todd said a good thing. He said get the Eclipse. I think this one eclipses my Xtreme Patriot Arrow. So, okay, regardless that I'm selling it, right? Regardless of what I'm selling it. So let's go the Eclipse versus this airbrush. So the main thing, if you were to purchase this airbrush for me, it's $149.95. But what you do is you get the pack valve, which you don't need a Mac valve. And you can actually go ahead and adjust the air at the trigger, which gives you a lot better control. Also, you do have the Sotar backing, which you can definitely access your needle a lot quicker than everything, which is really good. If you were to go ahead and buy the Xtreme Patriot Arrow straight from Badger, it has this backing in there. And this backing is no good because the backing, if you see this little ball there, it kind of rubs up against it. That's why I lost the backing. When you buy the airbrush from me for $149.95 as opposed to the Eclipse, I check everything. So I get the airbrush. I don't just send it out to you, have a good day. I check and make sure that the valve is working correctly. A lot of times there could be something off with that and I could fix it. I go ahead and check, not only check for air leaks, guys, but I check for air leaks and then I fix it using chapstick, which is a lip balm that has no flavor in it and no additives. And you put that on the thread and that works perfectly. So you're going to get a perfect stream. Sometimes with the needle packing with every airbrush, whether it's an Iwata, a Badger, or a Pache, that needle packing could be too tight or too soft. So for instance, you ever have your airbrush and when you're trying to put it in, it's really hard or really loose? That means the needle packing has to be adjusted. So when someone buys an airbrush from me, I adjust that so it's perfect, so it goes in and out and you have a nice flow of the airbrush going back and forth. Not only that, you aren't getting any of your ink or paint spilling out and going into your well. And if anyone used an Iwata, not saying anything bad about Iwata, but after a while, that trigger gets stuck. When you press it down, it slowly comes up or gets stuck. That's because the paint is sneaking in and getting to where the valve is and making this stick, right? That's the first thing. So the second thing is that when I go ahead and fix the needle packing, that's not going to happen. Also, when this comes, I adjust this so this hand guard is actually perfect and it sits perfectly. So getting an airbrush from me is, I'm not only going to test it, I'm actually going to work with it for at least an hour to make sure it does everything my airbrush goes. So weigh the differences. Do you want to get an Eclipse and take your chances? Or do you want to get an Xtreme Patriot Arrow and have an airbrush that works exactly like the one you see me do on these live streams, right? So Tone, have a great New Year's Eve, and thank you so much, and happy 2022. So Mike says he has a Patriot 105 modified an Anthem, but you aren't, if you aren't one of Tim, get Tim's. Well, I'm sure yours is really great, you know, so definitely. So I'd love to see yours in action there, Mike. You know, you might have even a better idea than I do. Eclipse out of the box is set. I understand, but it's not, and I understand where you're coming from, Mark, but it's not going to be tuned up like mine. It just isn't. And so That's important. And Clutch says, Tim, that's an amazing offer. Would I just mail my brush to you? Well, what we would do is we can do that, and then I'll have you purchase the parts, and then I'll go ahead and work that out for you. So we'll definitely make sure I'll take care of your Clutch, that's for sure. Oh, they do test those. Oh no, it's not. Oh no, it's not is an answer to what, Mark? I'm sorry, I didn't get the whole, I didn't get the context of that answer. No problem, Clutch. Definitely, definitely. So I know when I'm talking about different brands of airbrush, I'm not knocking them. I'm just telling you like it is. I used Iwata for quite a number of years. So I do come from a place of knowledge with it, and but I'm not knocking it. I'm just telling you the truth of my experiences and why I decided to build my own airbrush with not only me in mind, but for others as well. And for my students, right? Definitely for my students. That's one of the main things that I use it for. Because I want my students to have a good time. I want them to be able to see my fine lines. Thank you, Mark. I appreciate that, my friend. So definitely have... So Mark, I just want to thank you for all your support, and Paul and Mike and Nameless and Jesus and Air Todd and Colette and Steve and Honey. Thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate that more than you know. So we are getting to the 11:30 hour. So once again, the link's in the description if you want to purchase the Sepia Mixtures. That would be a lot of fun. But I definitely appreciate your viewpoint on airbrushes. I know you like Iwata, Mark, and that's great because they're good they're fantastic airbrushes, and they have a great product. And Paul, you have a great 2022. Happy New Year's. Thank you. So Todd says I can get the same effect with a straw. I appreciate that. Thank you, Mark. I so appreciate Mark. Thank you for the super chat. I thank you. This was kind of an interesting live stream. So sorry for the technical issues. But the technical issues are there because I'm always trying to make better live streams for you. And I really hope and pray that, we go into 2022 and our airbrushing just gets better and better. Mike says the Patriot base model doesn't have the air pressure control, which is pretty essential. Yes. Definitely, I agree. So, yeah, so you definitely want that pack valve because that's going to be the difference. We can go ahead and use the MAC valve, but you're right. Like as Mike said, you're going to be losing a little bit. But if you're on a budget, then you do stuff like that because you're on a budget, right? So I definitely understand that. Happy New Year, Todd. Thanks for hanging out, my friend. Thanks for your support and friendship. And I really appreciate that. Happy New Year, Mr. Raoul. Thank you. Thank you so much. Let's see. I'm going to come here so I can see you all bigger. Let's see. But yeah, the reason why, we had these kind of little hiccups and everything is because the other software is kind of crazy, is not acting right. And so I had to go to this new software, which is really great. But the thing is, it's just some bugs I actually clicked the wrong button. So I'll tell you when I made a bonehead thing. I made a bonehead decision today by hitting the X button, and that kind of killed the live stream. So I can't blame the software. I can't blame Biden. I can't blame Bush. I can't blame anybody. It was me. So clutch, yes, definitely for a budget. And uh, Patrick said, like your comment, Tim, about airbrushes. You have an Iwata. Yes, it's great, but I want to try yours one day. Thanks, Patrick. And I will have one especially made for you, and all the bells and whistles, and I would really appreciate that. And but yeah, Iwata is a really great airbrush company, and they have great products, and I can't be knocking them. I mean, a lot of people use them, and they do great artwork. So who am I to knock? But I can always say, oh, you get your booster shot. You're going to be fine. Just make sure you're off the next day, and you can relax, okay? Just in case, you feel a little down, a little bit, tired or something like that. And Mark, no effect. That's fantastic. That's really great. And Brad, Happy New Year, my friend. You take care of yourself. Great to see you. And so yeah, the sepia mixtures are interesting. They're a lot of fun. They're a little bit of a point of departure from from my Airbrush India inks, but I think you'll have a lot of fun with them. So next week we're going to start this painting from the very beginning. So we'll just start from the beginning and just work on it and just continue that. So yeah, so this was just like a quick video just because today I launched the Airbrush sepia inks, and you can purchase them. The link's in the description. And yes, Mark, definitely keep us out of the hospital, and that's really important. So I'm glad you guys are brave in doing that. And just, I have to say this, always keep the amount of visitors and everything that you have home, keep that to a minimum if you can. I think that's really, really important if you can keep that to a minimum. So Mike says, is there concerns of the needle erosion with the heavier pigment and sepia? Not at all. Not that I know of. I don't know what's going to go on like years down the line. But so far I've been using the sepia, testing them for a year, and not too bad, my friend. So yeah, so I think they work well. Plus I really dilute them a lot. And Jesus says the PS 770, 71 is the reason you bought them. And the microns for the price, you get 2 Creos. Oh, nice. And my price, you get 3, almost 4 microns for the price of 4 of my airbrushes. Definitely, So, you always want to find an airbrush like Jesus says, the Creos. It's less expensive, yet you get the quality of the Iwatas. And the same with mine is that you get the quality of the Iwatas, but they're less expensive. And do they look as cool? Maybe not. But like I said, we're in a budget. That's what we want to work with, right? And that's why I did that. And Jesus says, love the Drew Blair spring. Oh yeah, that's good stuff. Drew had that new spring, which is fantastic. Oh, what about the next day, Todd? Are you off? I hope you're off. And so Mike says he asked because spraying alcohol-based dyes did have some needle erosion in your pache. Yeah, that's the good thing between me and you and the wall. There's no alcohol in anything that I mix, which is really good. I really tend to move towards the distilled water when I dilute stuff, so that helps a lot, right? And that's why you might have to shake these up a bit when you do work with them, right? So that's what I do. I just make sure I shake it up, and this way, because sometimes the water can sometimes separate, which does happen. So a good shake is always good with these. And spraying leather dyes, that's really great. That's fantastic. And yeah, so thanks, Mark. You like to feed? Oh, everyone hit the like button. Oh, thanks, and share. Thanks, Mark, for that. Yeah, definitely. And so it's New Year's. I'm here, and So I'm praying that 2021 is going to be really fantastic, and we're all going to hang out and have a great night there, Mike. I really appreciate it. Air Todd says he's going to be hitting me up for a while for the white mixture and the detail mix so I can get my mug pick. Oh, definitely. Definitely. So now that you're off, yeah, definitely let me know. And that would really help. So, you know, guys, I really appreciate this a lot. And maybe one day I'll just do a question and answer where you guys can all ask questions and I can answer them. That would be nice, and we'll see how that goes, okay? So, thank you, everybody. I hope you have a great New Year's, and looking forward to 2022 and making some advances in the technology of the live stream. Have a great night, Clutch, and definitely talk soon. And yes, get you back to having a lot of fun with the airbrush. And maybe I'm going to do some regular videos talking about some new breakthroughs that I learned and something like that. That would be great. Nameless, have a great night, my friend. Happy 2022, and thank you so much for hanging out with us. I really appreciate that, sir. So hopefully next week I won't make such a dumb mistake like I did and mess up the live stream. So I'm working on that. Thanks for your patience with that, everybody. And thank you so much, Jesus. I wish the same for you with all my heart. Bye, everybody.